What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Sip-Off, where we have drinks and we talk all things basketball. We got a jam-packed show for you, but first, let me go ahead and get my guests. I've got Will. What's up, Will or Light? How are you, Will?
Not so Willer Light, but I'm good. I'm doing good. I'm a little sad college ball is done with, but you know what that means? WNBA season is right around the corner. Let's go.
It is right around the corner. I'm just sharing the show real quick. So, how's your week been?
Work was kicking my butt, but luckily I'm off Easter. Good Friday tomorrow, and then next week I'm going to a golf tournament with my dad that I've gone to the last 3 years, the RBC Heritage. I love spending time with my dad, hanging out, drinking beers, doing whatever. And then I got a wedding in 2 weeks after that, so busy life for me.
Awesome. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and get our other guests. We got Joseph Jenkins.
Hey,
what's up, Joseph?
What's going on?
How are you?
Listen, I am great. The weather finally broke, so you know I'm good. How about you?
You said the weather. What has it been doing?
It's been up and down. Like one day it was like 60 degrees, the next day it was like 35, then it went to like 70, then it went to 40, and now it's been a consistent 60 to 75 all the way through. I'm so happy about that. It would be like
weather changes the mood.
Literally happened last Thursday. It was 30 degrees in the morning, and 70 degrees in the afternoon. So how do you plan for that if you work throughout the day? That is crazy.
I live in the panhandle of Texas, and it's like that 24/7. So you wear a jacket.
You better than me, and more power to you. Glad to be on.
All right, well, I'm going to get our last guest. We got Steve Shawanda.
Steve Shawanda.
Steve, we need to think of a nickname.
What's up, Steve? How are you?
Hello, everybody. You guys,
do you swindle people?
You guys talking about weather. I'm in Michigan. We get all 4 seasons in the same day. You guys don't even know.
No. We do. We're not that far from the mountains. So like last week it was 30. The next day it was 80. Like you know.
We literally had 70. We actually hit 71 yesterday, and it was 35 this morning when I woke up.
Hey Steve.
Yeah.
Do you soiree?
But I am right by Quincy McCall, if you know about Love and Basketball. USC
Okay.
throwback jersey.
Tell
And
Sid to stop being so mean to Monica like she was in that scene talking about she only got on her team because the girl got pregnant. Okay.
Okay. I love that post. I love that
last
post.
time they were good, Dr. J was a nurse. Thank you. Yes.
All right, well, let's do it. Let's do a shot, and then we'll get the show going. So,
For those who
See-
want to drink.
cheers.
Cheers.
How about
There's
that?
my shot.
Boom.
Me and Steve.
You and Steve.
All right, so I'm drinking a little bit of Fireball, and then I also have one of my favorite red blends.
Okay.
14 hands.
Megan, I think you was a hardcore dude like another life because you be drinking them crazy things. Fireball.
What you mean?
Hey, she ain't salt.
I'm scared of Fireball. I
Yeah.
tried one Fireball shot and
I
was
love
done.
Fireball. Fireball.
Yeah.
And
Fireball.
Hennessy. I don't drink. Now, I'll be honest. I don't drink Four Locos like I used to. I got my life together. I'll put it that way.
Fireball's easy. That's just the fall drink.
Right. No,
Fireball's
it's a
fall
social
shot for us.
drink. It's like
Fireball's
40
a fall
proof.
shot for me.
It's a drink that didn't to be happening so dang hot. She's spicy.
I am having a Willer Light though.
Is it
in honor of Will?
I am having a Willer
Fireball
Light.
where they put the little like
I'm honored.
lighting it up a
Yeah.
little.
Yes.
Okay, so let's jump into basketball now that we got the drink parts under the way. Let's talk Final Four, whichever y'all want to start with, men's or women's. It doesn't matter. Will, but you start us off.
Do you want to do Final Four then championship real quick, like summary?
Right. Yeah. Let's do Final Four games, then championship.
All in one take, or do you want to do Final Four and then championship?
However you want to do it.
So I'll do Final Four championship for women's, and then and then men real quick. So LSU beat Virginia Tech. Angel Reese had a double-double. Iowa beat USC. Caitlin Clark had Caitlin Clark game. She had 41 points, and they held Aaliyah Boston to 8 points. Aaliyah Boston to 8 points. That's insane.
Right.
And 10 rebounds. And USC was only 20% from 3-point, and the field goal percentage was 39, which is insane for the defending champs and the number 1 seed. Then LSU went on to beat Iowa in the championship. Reese, Williams, Johnson, Morris, and Carson all hit double figures in points. And I'm going to say a point real quick. Those refs, and Megan, you agree, I've heard you say it on 3 Chicks, were atrocious. How do you give Caitlin Clark a technical just for doing a little backwards pass with the basketball, and you're like, technical. But Kim Mulkey is going up and down the sideline, stepping a little bit onto the court each time, yelling at the ref every possession, and you don't give Mulkey a tech? But you give Caitlin a tech for just being like, oh, here's the ball. It's inexcusable. It cost Iowa the game because Iowa had a lot of people in foul trouble. And the refs, I think, played. Sure, do I think LSU would have won? Yeah, maybe. It probably would have been a lot closer game, maybe a 5-point game. But the refs definitely had the as I say, whistles in their mouth, like waiting to blow the whistle. But they didn't blow it for Mulkey when Mulkey should have easily gotten a tech.
Right. Okay. And then, your thoughts on the South Carolina game?
For the men's game? No, I told you about
for the women's.
I said they shut down South Carolina. I'll go for the men's real quick. San Diego State beat FAU by a buzzer beater. It was insane. I was at my friend's house. We were both like, wow, craziness. Then UConn beat Miami. And the cool thing about UConn, and UConn would go on to win the championship against San Diego State. Hurley is an amazing coach. Johnny Dawkins is a really good player for UConn. But the best player is Sonogo. Sonogo, hear this. He had a double-double in the first round, the second round, the Final Four, and the championship game. That's impressive. That's really impressive. Right. And as you guys know, I'm a Tar Heel fan. UConn's my women's team, but they're my second men's team. I don't really call them my main men's team because of UNC. But UConn, you could tell they beat their opponents every game in the tournament by a large margin, by double digits. So overall, I'm going to say for the women's tournament, I was sad for Iowa that they lost by so much, but LSU was a really good team. Tim Mulkey's a really good coach. For Connecticut, Hurley's a great coach. I think he's bringing that program places. He brought them back to the Big East. I knew they were going to make some noise in March because they played in a really good Big East with Marquette, Villanova, other schools, St. John's. So overall, what would I grade both games? For the championship game, I'd say for the women's, I'd say it's a C, maybe a D, because Iowa, I wish was closer, and the refs were horrible, so that's why it's fall. For the men's game, I'd say it's a B because it wasn't the greatest, it wasn't the best. It was because SDSU, no offense, I didn't give them a shot in the championship. Once I saw UConn won, I was like, no way UConn's losing. They're a runaway train. Good luck catching that hot team. But yeah, that's my thoughts on both Final Fours.
Okay. Joseph, you want to go next?
Do we do both or just how do you want to do it?
Yeah, you can go ahead and do both.
Oh, okay. I loved every bit of both of them. I loved every minute of both of them because I'm a big man on parity. But I will say, I think the title game in the women's was not the title game that many people had predicted when the tournament had began. Right. A lot of people did have the foregone conclusion that South Carolina was going to get there. And equally, they wanted to see, there were rumblings of a possible rematch between them and LSU. And
that's what I had
too. But I have to give it to, like I said, Iowa, Caitlin Clark and them. Caitlin Clark against South Carolina was absolutely phenomenal. There wasn't nothing they could do with her. And it demonstrated what I think is going to translate to the next level for her in the future because you couldn't stop her shooting. And when she saw an opening, she's a lot quicker than I realized. And she's a lot faster on the dribble penetration, which was killing South Carolina left and right. That was a very good game. LSU got a good one against Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech played very well with them. But, they are down low and they are too strong with Angel Reese. But I will say, in the championship game, if it wasn't for that bench, I don't even think LSU would have won because Angel got into quick foul trouble early on. She had been neutralized, whereas Caitlin Clark and Iowa was kind of actually ahead for a little bit until the second half when they were able to kind of enforce the will. But it showed a lot. Iowa has promise. It's going to be interesting to see what they do if they replace Monica Castellanos because she was a big reason why Angel was not Angel Reese that we were used to seeing all season long. But it was a wonderful game. I love that it was the most watched. And a lot of people say that they can ball, they're hard, they're tough nose and everything. But I've been watching women's basketball I can remember, and that's nothing they did in this game surprised me. These women are always going to be banging on the boards. These women are always going to be showing their athletic ability. So I was really, excited about them. And shout out to LSU. They got the #1 recruiting class coming in next year. They have a really good chance. They returned 3 of their 5 stars, I believe. They have a really good chance of repeating because South Carolina has to have a new class in because their vaunted class is leaving. On the men's side, I gave San Diego State a chance for the simple fact that they also play very good defense as well. That's one of the things that they're known for. But when I know about Dan Hurley and I watched the way UConn played, they're just like him. All in your face, aggressive, energetic. And I remember when Dan first got there, one of the things that they said that everybody bought into him is that he let the players decide. He basically was adapting to their style for the seniors that were there, and that he was getting his own class. And so I do think UConn definitely took full advantage of what was in front of them. I think they took full advantage of the teams that they played in front of them. I don't know if they were the best team on the field. I think they had the best games. They played their best at the time they needed to play their best. But if they were facing like a Kansas on the way or something like that, who without Bill Self, I kind of thought Kansas would have got them. But I give them a shout out for that. I do think UConn, they played just like Dan Hurley. It's crazy because outside ever since Emeka Okafor and them left, every time UConn's won, they weren't expected to win. Every single time. And this is no different. But I don't know if they'll be able to replicate it next year, but they have a good chance because they got a good recruiting class. They're returning a nice group of their core guys. But I loved both games. I like seeing teams that are different that I had never seen in the national title game before.
JJ, real quick. I'm going to say something real quick. Fun fact. The last few times, 2 times, UConn men won a championship with like Kemba and those guys. Both were in the state of Texas as well. So
they love Texas. You're right.
They love Texas.
Yeah, I was going to say it's the 4 times. The last 4 times they've won it.
No, it's 4. Yeah, 4 of the last 5. 4 of the last 5 times the Final Four was in Texas. UConn won.
Right.
It's amazing that I'm gonna let you go, Steve. It's amazing that we talk about Duke, Carolina, and Kansas riding the titles, but yet UConn's got 5 in this century, I believe. Or 5.
Yeah, and no one's scared of the Blue Bloods anymore.
They got 5. They got more than Kansas, more than North Carolina. They got 5.
They don't have more than us.
No, in the century.
They
have.
Yes,
I think Carolina has 4 and UConn has 5.
Yep. No, you're right. My bad.
Steve.
Sorry, my dog was barking, so I was trying to quiet her down for a second.
I get it.
Schwozy on in here, bro.
What?
Schwozy on in here, bro.
She said schwozy.
Yeah, I can't. Come on now. I don't have JJ swag. I'll do the men first, just because I'll be honest. I probably paid the least amount of attention to the men's tournament this year than I ever have. And it was for 2 reasons. Number one, and this is just me, maybe I'm wrong, it's just me. Everybody loves the upset. Obviously, we all love the 12 over the 5. We all we all love that the first weekend. But during the Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four, championship game, you want to see the best team. I'm sorry, you just do. And no disrespect to them, obviously. A FIU, San Diego State Final Four, Florida Atlantic, Florida International, South, because I live in Michigan, so that would be like Central, Western, or Eastern Michigan being in the Final Four, right? Like, you're in Florida. You have Miami, you have Florida State, you have, Florida, obviously. Then you got Central Florida, you got South Florida. Now we got Florida Atlantic, Florida International. Like, so those teams being in the Final Four, it's literally like Central Michigan, Western, where I went, fire up chips, but Central Michigan, Western Michigan, or Eastern Michigan being in the Final Four. Like, I would love it. Nobody else in the nation would care. And that was my problem with the men's tournament. We all love the first round upsets, but at the end of the day, you want to see the best teams. We love the Cinderella story. We love the buzzer beater, but we don't want to see that 13-12 matchup in the second round. And now all of a sudden we got a 13 seed in the Sweet 16. Now we got a 13 seed in the league. Again, props to them. I mean, San Diego State plays great defense. They're a very good team. They have a former Michigan assistant, as their head coach, who might be Michigan's next head coach if Jawan decides to leave after this year. I'm just telling you guys right now, it's going to happen. But UConn was clearly the best team left.
Right. And, for sure.
And if you remember, which you all do because you love basketball, it's not like UConn came out of nowhere. UConn was very, very, very good early on.
In the beginning of the season.
In the beginning of the season, they went to the whatever it is for Phil Knight in Portland or whatever. They played very well. I mean, they're a good team. It's not like they're some Cinderella. Obviously, they've won a bunch of national championships. They're really good. So they were clearly the best team. Like, them in Miami should have been a national championship if you just, ranked the 4 teams that were left after the Final Four. But UConn was clearly the better team. There's clearly I don't know if they were the best team overall, but if you're the best team in the beginning and the best team in the end, hey, if you struggled a little bit in February against, Marquette and Villanova and Creighton and, Georgetown and, I don't want to, forget teams, but in conference season, they know you better. You play them twice a year. There's no, so, you're struggling a little bit, right? And
Right.
it's hard to go to Creighton and win. It's hard to go to Villanova and win. It's hard to go to Marquette and win. So you give those and other teams too. So you give those teams credit, right? But like you said, UConn, and they probably have the best overall player moving forward in the tournament. So especially when he came out and hit 2 threes to start the championship game, then you're just like, we're done. It's over. Like, if Sanogo's gonna hit threes, just wrap it up. Now, moving on to the main event, in my opinion.
It was I felt like it was the main event for sure. And it doubled in views. It doubled in views. The championship game doubled in views this year. Yeah. A little more than double.
9.9 million people. Right. And truthfully, my only question is, if you weren't watching, why? What were you doing? And this will bring up another question that we should bring up that like at a later show when we have nothing to talk about. But
can I interject?
What are you doing at 3:30 on a Sunday? What are you doing on 3:30 on a Sunday that you can't watch great basketball? At 9:40 on a Monday night, I know what I'm doing. Why I can't watch great basketball? I'm going to bed. Right. My alarm's going off at 4:15. But at 3:30 on a Sunday, how can you not watch? And I hope, and I know there was other stuff that people were talking about, and we might get into that later. It was all BS because it's not an issue. But my thing is, hey, if you're going to talk about women's basketball, at least you're still talking about women's basketball. But hey, if you all talk about that crap, watch the games. Watch the games. And then you'll understand.
It happens all the time.
Good basketball. But anyway, I'm a big Iowa fan. Well, not a big, but I love Caitlin Clark. I've loved her for a long time. 3 years ago, CMU, where I went, played Iowa in the first round of the tournament. Iowa and Caitlin Clark beat us. So I've been on the Caitlin Clark. I'm not going to say I've been on the Caitlin Clark like first, because obviously she was great in high school too. But I've been on the Caitlin Clark train for a while. And Raina Harmon, who's one of their assistants, is a friend of mine. She went to Central. She coached at Central. Now she's at Iowa. So I've followed Iowa for a while. I live in Michigan, so I watch a lot of Big Ten Network, obviously.
Tell her to
sign a lot of Iowa games. So I was all in on Iowa. I will be honest, I had South Carolina beating them in the Final Four in my bracket because I thought South Carolina was just that good. Because I respect the champs, and everybody should still obviously respect what they've done, respect what Dawn's done. Obviously, they just
for sure.
Iowa was smart. They don't have shooters. If they had one shooter, they would be amazing. I mean, they beat LSU by 24, by the way.
Last year.
They're that good, right? But that game surprised me. So then I thought that I put this on our chat, and I don't want to, but I said Iowa's got to finish the deal, or it would be like the Miracle on Ice in 1980 when they beat the Russians, but still had to beat Finland to win the gold medal. Now, Iowa obviously did not finish the deal. Now, they still had a great year, and they should enjoy it. Everybody should enjoy it. Everybody should appreciate it. But give LSU their flowers, man. Like, the Bayou Barbie is amazing. Like, if you just look at Angel Reese, she should be a model. Like, she is gorgeous, but also she's a effing badass who is smart, strong, athletic, talented. Like, why do we feel, and I'm like, I don't want to make this into too big of a deal, but why do we feel like we have to hate on one person to praise someone else? Like, can't we just enjoy the greatness that are these, well, there have been a couple of years. So, but still, 19, 20, 21, 22-year-olds. Like, I'm 40. I've never been half as good at anything in my life as these people are at basketball. Like, let's just enjoy the greatness.
Right. Okay. He said they gotta let it out. Let it out. Okay, so my thoughts on the men's Final Four, because I'm going to start with the men's also, because I feel like the same way that it was anticlimactic compared to the women's. Even though the women's final, there was a bit of a gap there in the score. But starting out with South Carolina, I just want to say that Iowa came in with such a dominant defensive performance that I was just completely shocked. Like they do play defense. It's not that they don't play defense, but that level of defense they don't normally play. Like, it's a team full of shooters. Number 25, like, she's incredible. She is a bully. Like, she does play really hard defense, but the rest of them are excellent shooters. And but that entire team played an awesome game defensively against South Carolina. I thought that at halftime they were going to go to break, and they were kind of going to come back, and South Carolina was going to adjust and do what they do, run away in that second half. And that's what I figured was going to happen. And it even still, with how bad South Carolina looked during this game, because they looked stunned. They just looked completely stunned, and like they didn't adjust.
They lost by 4. They lost by 4. Yeah, they lost by 4.
Right, and they still only lost by 4 points, as bad as they looked. And in this 4-year run, they've only lost 9 total games out of like 100 and some odd games, So, we're talking about an incredibly talented team, an incredibly talented coach. And I have to say, I felt like what Don said after the game was exactly what a coach is supposed to do. Like, you're supposed to protect your players.
Yeah. No, real quick, Megan, don't want to interrupt you, but just I pulled it up, so I want to give them their flowers. 129-9, 3 Final Fours, a national championship. They technically won 6, because they got the COVID year and then it was cut off.
Right.
They won 6 conference titles, went to 3 Final Fours, and won a national championship, and was 129-9. So shout out to all of the guys. Obviously, Elena and Zaya, but Beal and Letitia and Olivia Thompson, like, absolutely amazing, just incredible. 129-9.
I think, Megan, and I believe your excitement is proving the point about this game, and I think we're going to keep the buck. Megan, you had debuted and said you was going to talk about the men's, but the minute you had even an inkling to talk about
the minute I scooted over to the women's,
but it speaks to what it was, to the point about the viewership. Now, let's be honest, and it's okay to admit this. Everybody was rallying behind Caitlin Clark because they're so used to the dominant teams, and here's the team out of nowhere.
True.
She committed the tournament much like Steph Curry did with Davidson, where everybody rallied.
And I would not have been upset if Caitlin and her crew had won a championship. Like, the amount of work that she's put in while she's been in college, like, absolutely, I would love to see her win a championship, and crew, because they also put on an amazing performance as well.
And they had the same starting 5 for like 93 consecutive games, and that was, and I forget. I think both of you made the point, Willer and JJ. LSU is the better team because Iowa relied so much on that 5, so that and we've all talked about it, the officiating was horrific. So when you get people in foul trouble, LSU's bench way better than Iowa's. Like, LSU, absolutely. I live in Michigan, so I've watched a lot of Big Ten basketball. Like, I watched a lot of Michigan, which I'll admit it. I'm probably biased because I live here. I have a friend on staff there, but I picked Michigan to beat LSU in the second round. LSU demolished them. But, like, I've watched a lot of Michigan, Ohio State, Maryland, Indiana, and Iowa women play this year. And they're all great teams. But LSU, talk about, through the whole you can't see me crap, nobody's talking about that. LSU was 30-2 and was a 3 seed.
Right.
They lost,
no, actually, I talked about it too. I don't know that they should have been a 1 seed. Yeah, maybe. I don't know, but definitely a 2 seed.
Like, yes, they lost. They did lose to South Carolina by 24, but it's South Carolina.
And that's what knocks you down to a 2. Yeah, that's what knocks you down to a 2 seed.
Their only other loss was to Tennessee by 2, who they also beat. So they also beat. So you're like, how is a 30-2 team a 3 seed and not a, and I can say this because I went to Central and I'm a mid-major guy. If you're 30-2 in the mid-major, okay, but if you're 30-2 in a Power 5 conference, how are you a 3 seed?
Well,
Iowa's lost 6 or 7 times and they were a 2.
Right. No, completely agree. And then sliding over to the other Final Four game, I just want to congratulate the Hokies for making the Final Four for the first time in their program's history, and they was also the first time in their program's history that they were a 1 seed. So and I was critical until the Elite Eight, and when that game in the Elite Eight, I was like, okay, they kind of do look like a 1 seed. So I'm excited for this matchup with LSU, But I also didn't pick them to win. I figured, I just felt like LSU was on their way to doing it. And not necessarily to winning the championship, but going to the championship. I had an all-SEC championship. I figured South Carolina, LSU.
Same.
Like, that's what I thought it was going to be. So, South Carolina
picture,
losing.
It's good for the game. It's good for the game, right? Bigger picture, it's good for the game to have. Like, Virginia Tech's really good, right? Like, it's good for the game to have other teams. I don't want to get Willard too excited here, but like Paige and Ace is going to be back, and that's like
right. Oh yeah.
Like don't get me wrong. I love college basketball. I love men's college basketball. I'll watch men's college basketball. Women's college basketball next year is going to be insane.
Oh yeah, no, next year's going to be insane.
Because it's almost like Caitlin, and maybe this is. I mean, I'm a white male. What can I say, right? So maybe this is the network's hoping, like, oh, we can have a white person step up and take Paige's place. And obviously, Caitlin did that. But now Paige is going to be back and be like, not so fast. Like I want to see LSU. I want to see LSU Iowa so bad next year. I want to see Iowa UConn so bad next year. I want to see LSU UConn so bad next year. I want to see South Carolina against all of them next year. Like, it's great for the game.
Yep.
So now moving on to the championship game, I knew that, okay, so these were 2 different style of teams. LSU plays in the lane a lot. They have a couple of bigs. Like, I thought they were an excellent matchup for South Carolina. Similar to kind of how Maryland plays, very physical in the lane, dominant with rebounds. And so I thought that matchup with South Carolina was going to be just awesome. Well, it didn't work out that way. They came out, and Iowa, they kept up for that first half. And, it was pretty close. The officiating was atrocious from the very beginning. Like I said about Will said about Kim, and I've said this all week long. If you're going to allow someone of her caliber so she's a champion. She has that type of personality. She has that type of pedigree. So you're going to allow her to have some leeway, and you're not going to tee her up. But she was definitely walking on the court while the play clock was running. Like, she was definitely crossing that line. And then in between that, refs are walking by. She's getting in refs' faces, and she didn't get teed up one time. So there was absolutely no reason that Caitlin should have been teed up for something that had no intent. She went behind the back. It was more like she was walking into where a cluster of the ladies, and so if she would have gone in front of her and passed it to it like that, it would have hit her leg. So if she would have gone either between the legs or behind the back, they would have felt like she was throwing an attitude. So she gets to tee up. If they were going to tee Caitlin up, they just should have teed up everybody else.
And I know I was
consistent.
I was upset about it, obviously, as a Caitlin Clark fan, Iowa fan. I know you all know too, but we might as well say on the show. The explanation that the refs gave was that Iowa already received a delay of game warning. So then that was a delay of game technical because, she did throw it directly to the refs. Now, by the letter of the law,
it just wasn't any intent.
Is that technically a technical? Yes, it is technically a technical. in a national championship game to the best player in the nation, giving her fourth foul with a minute left in the third quarter. Do you have to call it? No. Nobody would have cared if you didn't call it. How many times in every game that you've ever watched have you seen someone shoot the ball or throw it or do whatever after the whistle is blown? It did not need to be called because you don't, as an official, you never want to be talked about. The best officials are the ones you don't know.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah. The best ones are the ones that you don't know. And then, so for the stuff that happened afterwards, I'm going to keep it real short and simple because Caitlin gave an interview yesterday, and I think that just deads both topics, not only the White House issue, but the issue with Angel, apparently. Caitlin says that she's just as competitive, and she's not going to stop being just as competitive, and that's the way women's basketball is, and she doesn't want anybody to change anything, and that LSU earned their White House visit, and so it's appropriate for them to go themselves. And so I think that just completely deads the topic right there. If one of the people involved doesn't care about it, nobody else should give a damn.
I think to your point, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't understand why we even talked about it to begin with, because I don't get it. Like, I didn't think, I mean, if you won, so what? And I think, but it speaks to something earlier, and you guys' reactions about this game demonstrated. When Iowa beat South Carolina, that got everybody's attention to see, like, wow. And that Caitlin Clark was that transcendent player where everybody's emotions were rallying behind, which is okay to admit. But I think what kind of fueled
but not to gang up on somebody else.
No, I'm about to get there. The reason why I feel like people have an issue is because the one that they wanted to win lost, and they feel bad for her because she was taunted. But at the end of the day, as she said, she's a competitor. Who cares? You talk trash when you.
I mean, and they act like they never saw Diana Taurasi play basketball before.
Right,
okay?
And
it is not a WNBA season if DT doesn't get ejected at least twice. And then for Gino to comment about Dawn Staley and her crew and called them thugs. Like, okay, bro, like literally DT's a product of your program, and she's kind of known as a dirty player. I don't feel like she's.
I think with Gino, I think it's less. I think with the comment about Dawn was, you see a team that could stop you from being so dynamic down the line.
Right.
And you got annoyed that.
And that's why Dawn had to. That's how Dawn had to react at the time.
Yeah,
she had to react at the time because she's like, "Hey, if we play them in the tournament, I don't want us to get 45 fouls." Yeah, so she had.
I remember a Gino Auriemma team with Tina Charles who was dogging everybody down in the paint back in the day. So it's like, let's not get mad because this girl's doing the same thing you were doing for so long, and you saw how dominant it was, and you're thinking like, "Oh, dang, Paige may not get one this year because she got to deal with them." And as far as the Caitlin Clark thing, and I think we have to stop being sensitive about this. It's okay if you like her to win, but these girls are grown, pretty much adults. They are well-versed in being able to handle a loss and well-versed in taunting because, number one, a lot of these women, I don't know the truth about them, I love it, they play with us dudes too. It's cohabitation. And trust and believe, they're used to trash talking in a game.
Oh, yeah.
It's
I mean,
not
every D1 women's team in the country has practice players who are men. Every D1 college team in the nation has D1 players who has practice players who are men. And I've been to D1 women's practices, so I can tell you this. They talk so much crap, as they should. Like your competitor, like what to Megan's point. Caitlin shut the whole thing down to say that anybody else who brings up anything else is not a fan of women's basketball. They're not a fan of Iowa basketball. They're not a fan of Caitlin Clark. They're looking on their own agenda, and that's definitely not for our show. So she shut it down right there. Angel did nothing wrong. There's no hard feelings. We're good. Hey, do you want to go to the White House? No. Losers don't go to the White House. Like, I mean, she basically said, I mean, she didn't say losers. She said, runners up don't go to the White House. LSU should go and have a good time. And if
You can't
Angel doesn't
speak
want to
on
go on,
That just dead it all.
that's up to her. That's up to her. But
You
like,
can't. You
hey,
can't.
like,
You
no, we
can't-
should go. LSU had their moment. They deserve it. They're a great team. Have your moment.
You can't
Okay,
speak on
so
anything
the
that
last
happens
thing
in
I
the
want to
house.
say, the last thing I want to say on the tournaments is that the FAU game versus San Diego State, the buzzer beater. So I was rooting for FAU just because they were the underdog, they were the lowest seed, just who I went for because I didn't have a dog in the fight. I don't know if that basket should have counted. To me, it looks like he stepped out. There were several different angles that I saw, and it looked like he stepped out. It was a very similar situation to KD stepping on the line, and they had to go home in the playoffs a couple years ago in Brooklyn.
True.
So for me, it looked the same. Like it looked
Two or
like his
three. Yeah,
foot
2 or
touched the
3.
line.
Yeah, 2 or 3.
It looked like his foot hit the line, and that either would have sent him to either the basket wouldn't have counted, or it would have sent him to overtime. Like it wouldn't have been a 3-point. So that's my only thing on the guys that was questionable.
The only thing that I will say about that, they have it in tennis. Do you think we could get it? Do you think we'll get it in the next, I don't know, 3 to 5, 1 to 3 years in basketball?
I think so.
Where there's a light, where there's a light, like because they have it in tennis, right? If the ball hits on the line or whatever, the light goes off, or you can review it, whatever. So if your foot touches the line, or in KD's point, if your foot's on the 3-point line, so it's a 2, not a 3,
Right.
we can just review it. Like a light goes on, like nope, that's a 3, or nope, that's a 2.
I think it should. I don't know if it will, but I think it. I think it should come in. So let's take a shot for the end of college basketball. WNBA draft is next week, so we're not going to take real long on this topic.
The Reese thing.
Yeah.
I was basically saying, like, at the end of the day, you can't call anybody classless, anybody disrespectful if you have no idea what was being said during the dang game.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. Okay, so like during the preview game, we know that Caitlin and Haley Van Lith got into it. We know Haley Van Lith in Texas got into it. Like, it's part of the game. Y'all just going to have to accept it.
During Iowa Louisville, you don't have to read lips to know that Caitlin said, "You're down by 15. Shut your mouth."
Shut up. Yeah.
Yeah, like she literally said that. Like that happened. Like that happened.
So cheers to college basketball.
By somebody she's
had
been
a
on the
great
same
season.
U.S. national team with.
So cheers about college basketball. We had an excellent season. And Texas, y'all better come back and do something next season.
Yes.
Maryland, we revving it up again.
Hook 'em horns. Hook 'em horns.
Okay, so real quick, let's go through and say who we want our team to WNBA team to draft, and then we'll slide over to NBA topics. So I'll go ahead and start us off. You all guys know that I want Haley Jones. I don't care if we get her at the 3rd spot, the 5th spot, or the 11th spot because we own all those picks. Bring Haley Jones to Dallas. That's all I have to say. Go ahead, Will.
So I'm torn as a Seattle Storm fan. There's one girl I want. There's another girl I want. I'll tell you who I really want more. It's between Jordan Horston from Tennessee, who's a really good guard, averages 15.6 points per game. And then the girl I really want is a UConn girl, Lou Lopez Seneschal. She averages, 15.5 points per game. I think she would be a really good fit. She's a really good shooter, and I would love Lou Lopez Seneschal from.
Yeah, no, her last name's hard to
say. Guard
say.
forward. Seneschal,
Yeah.
I will say. Yeah, I want Lou. I'm going to call her Lou Lopez S. I want her.
Okay. Yeah, it is hard to say. I didn't know how to say it the other day. Okay, Joseph, who do you want on the Mystics?
Same as you guys, same as you, Megan. I want Haley Jones because Elena Delle Donne is starting to, we're going to have to manage her minutes a lot more. So we need that next person who can replicate similar play the way that she does. And I want Haley Jones on the team. But if it wasn't going to be Haley Jones, I wouldn't mind if she does enter the brass Monica Scigliano because the low post presence kind of stopped us last year. And we need to have somebody that has the ability to kind of at least bang on the boards and get some putbacks as well as create, their own post game to get us some buckets down low because we got good guard play. We got good wing play, but we were young interior side in the side with the big, Shakira Austin's a second-year pro, so she should develop. But we need somebody.
Right. Oh yeah. Okay, Steve, who do you want on your team?
Okay, so I'll be honest, my WNBA team is kind of fluid because I've been more of a player WNBA team, but now that Sue Bird retired, I'm all about the Mercury. Like I was half and half.
Me.
I was half and half. Now I'm all about the Mercury because my girl DT. Because obviously I watched the Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi.
Are you Jahan or are you Steve? I can't tell. I'm kidding.
Yeah. No, I watched the Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi love
it.
The
no, their coverage is so good.
Their coverage was amazing of the Final Four and the championship game. That's actually why I didn't know that I was called for a delay game warning earlier, because I was watching that feed. So like when Kate got a tech from behind the back, basically behind the back, as I went nuts on Twitter because I wasn't sober. But anyway. With DT, Soph, Brittany Griner,
maybe Skylar.
Yeah, I mean maybe Sky. It's weird because like I would love somehow Elena Boston this year, and then this is bad to say, but just be bad, and then DT retire, and then get DT 2.0, aka Caitlin Clark, next year. And just and it's just over. So if I'm being greedy, that's what I in a perfect world.
Okay.
That's what I want.
That's what you want. Okay.
So can I say something real quick? I know you wanted to go fast. You know who Caitlin reminds me more of though? I don't know why, because the double doubles is Sabrina.
Yeah. I mean that's though I will say. Caitlin is a good rebounder. She's not as good as Sabrina in rebounding, in my opinion.
I was thinking more Kelsey Plum.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's
not bad either.
Yeah. Okay.
You're talking about my future ex-wife, Kelsey Plum?
You mean Darren Waller?
Okay, so
you mean the next New York Football Giants tight end, Darren Waller's wife? Sorry.
So let's talk a little playoff picture for the NBA. I think we will come back to the CBA topic just because it's such a large topic.
Yeah, we should do that. Yeah, we should do that. We should do that.
And because play-in tournament is next.
That could be a big top. That could be an entire show. Yeah.
Right. So let's talk play-in tournament. Even though it's an excellent topic, Joseph, we are going to tackle it. It is. But let's talk play-in tournament in the West, because generally that's where the mess is. So currently, the Warriors at number 6 are 42-38. The Clippers at number 5 are also 42-38. Lakers are 41-39. So are the Pelicans at number 8. So 7 and 8 seeds. Lakers, the Pelicans have the same record right now. 5 and 6 seeds have the same record, and there's only one game dividing all 4 of those teams. And then you have the Timberwolves and OKC at 9 and 10.
I want to say hi. Sorry.
I don't really think any of those Pelicans, Timberwolves, OKC, I don't think any of those really, I don't know. I don't feel like they measure up the same way as the Lakers are kind of playing like they are playing well. Hold on. They are playing really, really well, but hold on 1 second.
I just want to go first. Do your thing. I just want to go first. Go ahead.
Okay. So, but I do think, last night showed that there are weaknesses. Obviously, we know there's problems with the Lakers. They're not greatly coached. They have health issues. They have rotation issues. There's some issues there, but they do look like the stronger team out of the play-in tournament teams currently. Do I think that they're going to make a playoff run? No, but they're probably going to make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to make a playoff run, though, because as currently constructed, if they get the 7th seed, they got to play Memphis first round. I think Memphis knocks them out in probably 5 games. So, as far as the others, I think whoever gets the 8th seed gets knocked out in 4.
I agree.
So that's all I got right now as far as the play-in tournament. Steve, go ahead.
Okay, it's weird because like we talk about, oh, the playoffs are wide. They're not really wide open, right? Like a lot of seeds are already, set, right? But I agree with you. Yeah, I mean, Minnesota's fun. OKC's fun.
Anthony Edwards is fun. No,
Yeah.
Anthony Edwards is fun. I don't like Karl Anthony Towns. I don't like Gobert. So,
Here's the thing for me, as a Warriors fan, which if you are a fan of the show, you would know that I love Steph Curry and I'm a Warriors fan. I want the Warriors, which right now they technically are. I want the Warriors to be the 6th seed. I don't want them to be the 5th seed and play the Phoenix in the 4th round in the first round.
Right.
I want no part of that. Like, I would love that matchup, but I want that matchup in the Western Conference Finals. I don't want it first round. Because if the Warriors, listen, I'm sorry. They can prove me wrong. It's fine, and I will give them all their props. I'll come on here and tell them I'm wrong. I want Warriors Kings in the first round as a 3-6, and Warriors are winning in 5. I'm telling you right now, Warriors will win in 5. Like, yeah. I want the 6th seed for the Warriors, and you get rid of Denver and/or the Clippers in the 2nd round, and you just gotta beat Memphis, who the Warriors have owned in the playoffs. So I would love the Warriors to be the 6th seed. Now,
right.
For the play-in, yeah, and that's the thing. The Lakers are still scary. The Clippers are still scary. The Suns are definitely still scary because even though KD hasn't played a lot of games with them, KD, if you don't listen to anything I say tonight, listen to this. KD is the easiest superstar ever to plug and play to any team because he does not need the ball. He can come off screens. He can stand in the corner. He can post up. He can do it. He can post up in the high post. He can do whatever he wants. So he doesn't need the ball, and he doesn't need to dribble 35 times to get a shot. And that's why KD can just plug and play anywhere because he's that good and he's that talented. I personally want a Suns Warriors Western Conference Finals. It's probably not going to happen, but that's what I want. On the East, we all know there's only 2 teams that can win. 76ers have James Harden, so they're immediately out. They can't do anything. So we have the Celtics. We have the Celtics and the Bucks. The Celtics and the Bucks will come out of the East against who's ever left standing in the West. But the West is going to be outstanding.
Okay, Joseph, you next, and then Will, you'll end the show for us.
So I actually kind of am on a different side of both of you about the team's gap between the Lakers on the Western play-in because I see weaknesses and I see strengths on all sides. I think with New Orleans, it's unfortunate because Zion's gone. But if CJ McCollum can replicate the game he had last night, that makes him formidable against any of the play-in teams that they have because that has been what's been missing with this team, all season long. CJ's been up and down. But yesterday, when Brandon Ingram was out and when I was not having a really good game, he carried the load with Trey Murphy and Herbert Jones. But then I look at Minnesota. I wish this was possible, but I know mathematically it's not unless they were somehow to get to that 7th or 8th seed. But I would have loved for them to been the team that would have won the play-in to play Memphis all over again like it was last year. But I think with the play-in teams, even with OKC, I think on a one-game do-or-die situation, there is no favorite in my opinion. There is no favorite in my opinion because all of these teams have played each other and played each other very well. So it's going to be very competitive. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of it. Personally, I really think it's going to come down to the Warriors and the Suns for the Western Conference Finals, because I do like Denver. I do respect them, but I don't think that they're going to be able to compete when these teams get 100% rolling and rocking. I've been on Sacramento all season long. Love them dearly. Do think so. But I do see that in a 7-game series, there's some teams that you may not want to meet because they like to shoot threes just as much as you like to shoot threes. And if you get into a 3-point contest with somebody like Steph Curry, Jordan Poole, all of them, it could be problems. Or Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, it could be problems. But I think that, as you said, Kevin Durant, he can create his own shot. He can do ISO. He doesn't need the ball to get the points, and he's not a person that doesn't have to score. If your team is rolling, he'll feed you the ball. He'll get the rebounds. He just does it all. And to be honest with you, no one can guard him. No one's ever been able to guard him, and nobody will ever be able to guard that man. And as far as the Warriors, I think it's really crucial Wiggins comes back. I think it's extremely crucial if he comes back because Steph is rolling, Clay's rolling. Jordan, he kind of regressed a little bit, like he's kind of lost his way a little bit, but he's figuring it out. Andrew needs to be that guy to go against a Kawhi Leonard, to be able to go step for step with him, or to go against a LeBron James, if you have to, and go step for step with him. And on the East, I'll be real quick. I think the East is going to be very competitive and places that you don't think, because I think that 4 versus 5 matchup, the Knicks and the Cavs, are going to be amazing.
Oh, no, I think that's going to be the best matchup in the East first round. Definitely that matchup.
Agree. Sure. And I think whoever wins that matchup, who they face of the top 2, is going to have a heck of a series. And if it's New York, I want New York because I think New York will have I think New York and Boston is the team that Boston does not want to see. But I think Milwaukee is the team that they're looking like, all right, we got this. But I think at the end of the day, if it comes down to Milwaukee and Boston, I really want, please get healthy, Chris Middleton. Please get healthy because I want to see this matchup because I seen this team, the way they handled y'all. They said, you know what? If we see you in the playoffs, get ready. Get ready for us, Boston Celtics, because we're coming. But I do I think it's going to be that it's going to be a fun Eastern Conference series because I want to see that Cavs. But I will say my last comment about the West is OKC. I know you sweating right now. I know you are sweating because you're not completely set with Dallas just coming back and having a good win yesterday, and New Orleans having a good win against Memphis as well. I think you sweating right now.
Just real quick, and this sorry, Megan, to steal your show. Just real quick, and you can make it a one-word answer. Dallas in the play-in. If Dallas is in the, because you got Luka, you got Kyrie. If Dallas is in the play-in, do they get in?
No.
They don't even make the play-in, but they don't even. No. They don't make even.
No, I'm saying if they make the play-in, do they get in? That was
no.
I don't think they're.
No, I don't see it. I think this is a really detrimental move for Kyrie. If there was anybody who it didn't work out well for, it's Kyrie. This round of moving teams, like KD can do it, but KD is KD. And while Kyrie is one of the best players on earth too, he's not KD, and he's had a whole bunch of drama in his career in the way that he's left teams the last few seasons. So, no, I think this is very detrimental, and I don't see any type of chemistry whatsoever. We'll go ahead and finish it, and that's going to be the end of the show.
Okay. Woo! Now I can talk. Okay. Yay.
Sorry.
I think it's going to be the Lakers. As much as I don't like LeBron, Anthony Davis, I think it also relies on the health of Anthony Davis. OKC, I'm sorry, your youth, Giddey's a great player. You got the Williams guys. You got Shy. I think they can be a Kings in a few years, make that playoff push, finally get to that playoffs with that young core. Minnesota, Anthony Edwards, Towns, Gobert. I only really like Ant on that team at plus. that team is still really too young. And what was the other team, Megan?
Pelicans.
Pelicans.
They're really shaky. You lost Zion. You don't. Brandon Ingram's injured, not injured, injured, not injured. You got CJ McCollum who could go off. I think it's going to be the Lakers, and it just depends on the health of Anthony Davis and how well LeBron's playing. But I'm going to say this. If the Lakers make the playoffs, I can see him losing in the first round in 5 games. It depends on the health of Anthony Davis, because I think if the Lakers make the first round of the playoffs and Anthony Davis is not healthy, LeBron's going to have to score 40-plus every night just to keep that team alive.
Right.
And I agree with Steve. I would love to see a Suns-Warriors matchup. I just think the Nuggets are good, but they need a few more pieces to help Joker. Yeah, you got Murray and you got Porter Jr., but they need more pieces than that. Anyway, on to the East. I agree. Boston, Milwaukee, that's going to be the Eastern Conference Finals. But I agree with Joseph. Cavs-Knicks is going to be like a 6 or 7 game series. That Cavs team is young and hungry. You got Garland, you got Mitchell. Like, that team is young and hungry. They got Allen, they got Mobley, and then the Knicks got Randall. I know he just got hurt. You got Quickly, you got Barrett, you got Brunson. Yeah, like I think the Cavs can make a surprisingly far run. Do I think they're better than Boston, Milwaukee? No, but still, yeah, for sure. That's all I've got to say.
Ooh. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you all coming on. Everybody that watched, shared, or commented, thank you so much. Yes, let's take a shot before we go, or a drink before we go.
It was at this moment where I realized I think the difference between Kevin Durant and Kyrie is the focus. Kevin wants to win. Kyrie wants to win, but he has other things that are on his mind. Kevin Durant is just thinking about basketball 24/7. He doesn't really think about too much else.
Of course, all he thinks about is basketball. He don't even brush hair.
Yeah, which is fine.
Fair.
Which is fine. And both those things are fine. Both of those things are fine. Like, Kyrie can do what he wants. He's a grown-ass man. KD can do what he wants. He's a grown-ass man. But, yeah, and to me, the East is 2 teams. The West is wide open.
All right, but that does it for us. We'll see you all back next week.
Next week.
And everybody have a good week.
All right, now.